Pathmonk is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50% by adding Pathmonk to your website in seconds, letting the artificial intelligence do all the work, and increasing conversions by 50% while you keep doing marketing as usual. Check us out on pathmonk.com. All right, everyone, welcome to today's episode of Pathmonk Presents. Today, we are joined by Natasha, VP of Marketing at equities.com. Natasha, good to have you on the show.
Thanks, Rick. It's great to be here.
Good to have you here. So, Natasha, I want to jump right in. We were talking just a little bit offline about equities, but if you could, let our audience know, let myself know, I've done a little bit of research, but, I want to hear it from the horse's mouth, as we say. What's the heart of what equities.com does, and how would you describe it to someone new?
Absolutely. So at equities.com, we really talk about investments that are actively shaping the future. We're not chasing stock tickers or, worried about daily market noise. We're really looking at big structural shifts that are creating opportunities across industries. So we highlight companies and trends that matter for investors and advisors who are looking beyond short-term market moves, whether that's the transition to electrification, the evolution of urban development, or breakthroughs in biotech. We really provide insights that connect investments to real-world outcomes. So at the end of the day, investing really shapes the world, and we help our audience understand where those changes are happening and what they mean for the future.
Right. So for anyone that needs to stay on top of trends or, how the market's going, or, potentially it's sometimes a speculation, most of the times actually it is, but, understanding what potentially might happen in the future, then it's also going to be helpful for your audience, I would assume, right?
Yes,
it's kind of
exactly.
like, yeah, okay, fair enough. So are there any types of leaders, types of businesses, even, or industries that you feel you're able to serve best with equities?
Yeah, we really serve two different worlds. On one side, we've got the investors and financial advisors who are looking for investment opportunities that really mean something. The opportunities that are tied to these larger lasting shifts in industries like energy and healthcare and technology. And we help them kind of cut through the noise and get straight to what's worth paying attention to. And then on the other side, we work with fund managers, financial firms, and startups who have something valuable to share about their company, more on the private equity side, but they need the right platform to reach the right people. So some are managing funds that align with these shifts, and some are driving innovation at the startup level. And all of them are really looking to connect with investors who care about where the world is headed. So that's really where we come in at equities.com. We don't just feature companies, we make sure their insights, research, their stories reach an engaged audience that's ready to listen. So whether that's through our newsletters, social platforms, articles, events, we create that space where opportunity meets the people who can act on it.
Right. Okay. Interesting. So you just touched on it actually, but this really ties into my next question, because I'm curious about, let's say, I run a startup, I want to be featured, and I want your audience to know more about, our world, for example. How does your audience typically find out about you? Besides, the newsletter you mentioned, there's a few different things, but I'm curious to know what are your, let's say, top channels in a way that people actually find out about equities.
Absolutely. So we offer a really cool startup package that offers great visibility for these companies in various stages of funding. And it includes a featured article, which we also get syndicated on other media platforms. And I think thought leadership is really huge. So we like to highlight the founders and CEOs of these startups. And, we blast that across social. Basically, every corner of our marketing reach is spotlighting the founders of these startups.
Okay, very good. And so that gives them that reach and that exposure, let's say, that brand awareness even for, if someone isn't well known in the industry, then they have the chance to essentially do it for you guys. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And our audience loves to read about those companies who have something innovative that they're doing that it just also has this real world impact. So those articles tend to perform the best for us are these articles on startups who are making an impact in the world.
Right. Okay. Very interesting. So someone will end on your website by means of, most people will look at their phones, right? I know I browse quite a lot on my phone, and it will end on equities.com. They see interesting articles and whatnot. So I'm curious to know, what do you think is the role of your website when it comes to attracting clients, both on the end of the startups and both for readers, for helping them get more knowledgeable, let's say, in the financial world. Do you feel your website has any specific strengths or maybe even areas that could be improved instead?
Absolutely, yeah. So our website really is our hub. It's where our audience comes to consume our content. As a media platform, for us, it isn't just a marketing tool, though, it's the product. It's also where we feature client content, from sponsored articles to ads and event sponsorships. And for potential clients, the website makes it really easy for them to see how we distribute content and how we build engagement as a platform and why our audience keeps coming back. So it's really proof of concept. When they see the depth of the content and the companies that we're featuring and the traction we generate, it really helps them understand the value of working with us. And I think the challenge that you mentioned, I think like any content-driven platform, we're always optimizing navigation and content discovery, making sure that investors and advisors can quickly find what interests them, and for potential clients to clearly see how their content would fit in our ecosystem.
Okay. It's interesting you mentioned, potential clients, because obviously you always have to, as a business, you always have to look at that, right? How do we attract more of them? So maybe for this one specifically, maybe you can draw from your experience. I know you've been at equities a little under a year, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So I'm sure you've had a chance to see how everything works behind the scenes and as a PR marketing, but maybe you can draw from your experience overall, right? Is there anything you've learned about what makes a great converting website? Maybe any, I don't know, if you have any tools or tips that you can recommend to our audience?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that we've learned so far as a media platform is how important positioning is. The way that we market ourselves on other platforms, whether it's social, events, or email, really needs to match what people experience when they come to our website. I think if there's like any type of disconnect between what people expect and what they find, they're not going to stay. And another thing we really focus on is how people actually arrive at our site. Most don't come through the homepage, they land on an article. So that means that, every entry point needs to make sense on its own while still guiding people toward deeper engagement.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Natasha, I want to just switch gears a little bit, maybe talk about you as a leader. I just talked about your experience. So if we can actually talk about your work, your day to day. In fact, I'm curious. I'm sure the audience also is also curious. As a VP of marketing for such a platform as equities.com, what are the things that you focus on your day to day? How many different hats do you wear? Because that's quite common in the marketing world, that we wear so many different hats. We do so many different things. So can you give us a glimpse into your day?
Yeah. So primarily my day-to-day is all about growing our audience and keeping the people who are already engaged with us coming back. So that really looks like overseeing how our editorial content gets distributed through newsletters, social, and other, digital channels so that it reaches the right investors and advisors. I'm also responsible for delivering on our client agreements, the products that we deliver to our clients that are in their contracts, making sure they receive the marketing assets and programs that are outlined in their contracts. Beyond that, there's a lot of relationship building. I spend a lot of time networking with potential speakers for webinars and virtual summits, and connecting with potential clients and partners who align with what we do. And there's also the less sexy back end work that keeps everything running smoothly, like, data hygiene and content ideation and supporting, kind of the B2B marketing efforts when we need. And because the user journey is always evolving, I'm constantly keeping an eye on how people engage with our platform and where we can improve.
So case in point, you wear so many different hats, right? So
Yes.
and so the fun stuff, it's I think personally for me, networking or doing this, even connecting with people is great. But as a marketer, it's more than great, it's essential, right? You get to understand what people are actually looking for, understand the language a little bit more. We go back to the positioning, right? That you were talking about just a minute ago. That helps a lot with that kind of research. At least in my experience, what I've seen is essential, right? So it's good to hear that it's in there, right?
Yeah.
And you don't do all of the fun stuff, just the data hygiene and all of that.
Exactly.
Very good, very good. So since we're coming towards the end of the interview, we're usually, we like to keep things fast-paced, let's say. And we have a set of rapid fire questions that I would love to ask to you, Natasha, sorry. So the only rule here is that we keep it short and crisp. Are you ready?
Okay, ready.
All right. What's the last book you read?
Something that was not a business book. It was historical fiction.
Amazing. Okay. Any glimpse on what it was about?
It was kind of like a biblical historical fiction book.
Okay, interesting. What's the one single thing that your company is focused on at the moment the most?
I think content is always top of mind for us.
Okay. This should be interesting. So if there's no boundaries in technology, right? What would be one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a VP of marketing today?
I think at one point it would have been something that would have helped me track attribution better. But I think as I've grown as a marketer, we've all kind of realized that attribution is very difficult to track. And, kind of after coming across Chris Walker and Refine Labs, I heard about dark social. And so, maybe some type of tool that tracked dark social or provided a dark social score.
Okay, good one. If there was one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
Hands down, post-event data cleanup and reporting. Just something that looked at the registration report and cleaned it and provided attractive looking reports that are polished and made sense of the data.
Okay, that's a good one. So if you could go back down memory lane for a second and give yourself a piece of advice that would help you a lot if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today, what would that be?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think just that there's a lot of learning in making big mistakes in the projects that fail. I think that sometimes it feels like wasted effort, but in hindsight, a lot of things that I failed on really laid the groundwork for a career in marketing. So just that there's value in doing the work, figuring things out from scratch, testing ideas and seeing what sticks, and just navigating through those failures and moving forward.
And I guess in a way, this is my ad, by the way. Having been able to have that mindset that it's fine to make mistakes and it's the only way to learn, right? Because otherwise, without that, you think everything's a disaster, allowed to make mistakes. But
Exactly.
it's very good. All right, Natasha, I want to thank you for being on the show with us today. And I also want to give you the last word. So if someone forgets everything about the interview today, what's one thing that they should remember about your work at equities.com?
Yeah, that we are covering the mega trends in the investment industry and that we cut through the noise. We provide insights that you can read in plain English without the jargon and without the fluff.
Amazing. Well, then I would just, ask our audience to go check out equities.com and get knowledgeable, get informed about, about the stock market, about ETFs, about anything that can help you be a better investor, right? Again, Natasha, I want to thank you for being on the show with us today, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, Rick. It was great being here.
All right. Bye, everyone.